Have you ever wanted to do this with your garden hose tools? We're going to show you how with the best garden hose QCs on the market. One of the most overlooked garden hose accessories are going to be QC plugs and couplers. And one of the reasons they're great is because they really make it so much easier to transition between your garden hose tools. When you're talking about the fittings for garden hose accessories, the plugs always go at the inlet and the couplers always go at the outlet. So in this case, I've got a plug at my inlet of the gun, and I would put a coupler at the outlet of the hose. These are going to be universal in nature, and they quickly connect. The great thing about the universal nature of the garden hose threads is that they can go in and out of just about any garden hose accessory. So in this case, I've got a plug on my gun, which I can connect and disconnect from my hose. And when I want to switch to my sprinkler, I've already got my plug installed, and I can quickly clip in, instead of having to screw something on and off of your hose. A great feature of couplers and plugs within garden hose accessories is that I can go then from my sprinkler or my spray gun to my pressure washer. So I would take my plug, which again has universal threads, whether it's commercial or residential washers. I thread it in, no Teflon tape, there's already a washer in there, and I can connect, and I'm good to go. When you're trying to decide on how many couplers you need, what you want to do is count your number of outlets. For most people, they won't necessarily put them on the hose bib, although that is an option. I personally have one there, and it's quick for me to connect and disconnect based on whichever hose I want to use. So I have one at the hose bib, right on the house. I have one at my hose outlet, and in this case, we've got a gun that also has threading, so I've got a coupler on the end of the gun. So I have 3 couplers. Within garden hose QC couplers, there are 2 options. There's stainless and there's brass. Now, brass from us is going to have a 4-ball feature, while the stainless is going to have 6. And this is going to be a more durable hold on the plug that's engaged in it. And the stainless is, of course, more corrosion resistant, so it's going to last longer. For stainless options, we have 2 different versions. One is a standard flow-through, which can connect and disconnect. But if I have a plug engaged on my gun, and now I have water flowing that's pressurized, and I disconnect, you've got water pouring out. So then I go to connect it to my sprinkler and I'm getting sprayed and it's really annoying. We now offer a check valve version. And this version has a small shuttle valve inside of it. And that shuttle valve has an O-ring, and there's also a garden hose washer to create the watertight seal. Which means that when I have this garden hose check valve QC on here, hand tight, and I have my plug engaged and the whole line is pressurized, if I disconnect this, the water is shut off. There's nothing coming through. And I can connect, and I'm not getting sprayed with water. The next important piece of our offering is going to be seals. And just like any pressurized line, there has to be a watertight seal at each connection point. And so for garden hoses, the rule of thumb is that every outlet has some type of seal, whether it's a garden hose washer, a washer with filter, or in some cases, there's a different type of washer for the coupler. And just like in pressure washing, as part of your spring cleaning setup for your garden hose, you want to replace your seals. So in this case, I've got a coupler on the end of my gun. These seals can get dry and cracked. And so what you want to do is you want to pull out this washer like that. And you replace it with a new one. These are real easy to remove and replace. For couplers, you're typically going to use this type of seal, which is a little bit thicker. It's EDPM. You can see on both the brass and the stainless that they've got the same type of O-ring, or washer is what you'd call it. But on the check valve version, it's a little bit different. And it's going to be more standard for what your current garden hose has. So it's a flat washer. You would remove it the same way, and then reinstall. With check valves, there is one additional seal, and that's going to be a 1/4-inch O-ring that's actually on the shuttle. So in addition to replacing that garden hose washer at the inlet, there's also this little O-ring, which will pop right out, and you replace the O-ring with another 1/4 inch. It's just a standard pressure washer O-ring, and you slip it right on top. In addition to the standard washer, there's also a filter version. And with that version, you're typically going to want to install this at the inlet of any accessory that has nozzles. So in this case, we've got the Karcher pressure washer. What you'd want to do is uninstall the plug. This probably just has a regular washer in it. Yep, and it does. We would pull that out, and we would put in the filter version. And that's going to be a pre-filter for anything that could get inside the pump and damage it. And that goes for a sprinkler or a spray gun, just the same. The best QCs on the market are found at MTM Veloci, where we focus on material, functionality, and durability.